Hey y'all, I'm Brooke Hoover, a Louisiana native, actor, writer, and comedian. I've lost 100 pounds through diet and exercise, or shall I say, lifestyle changes. My 20-year and counting health journey has taught me that just like taking a diet pill for weight loss, body positivity doesn't magically happen overnight. I'm working on regaining my self-esteem and rekindling my love affair with Cajun and Southern comfort food in a healthier way, all the while juggling eating as clean as I can, reestablishing myself in the entertainment industry, which, as we know, is historically fat-phobic, all the while showing my inner fat girl some love. That's fat with a PH. Pretty hot and tempting. Let me tell y'all a tale or two.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. When I originally wanted to look up this prayer, the Serenity Prayer, I initially thought it was a Bible verse, honestly. It does have Catholic origins, and AA has slightly changed the prayer to the version I just read, which I prefer. I've just always appreciated the simplicity of this prayer, and yet the difficulty that it holds at the same time. The main word I'm pulling from this is my word of the year 2024, acceptance. Several years ago, at least like 7 or 8 years ago, when I realized the way I was implementing New Year's resolutions was nothing more than like a punishment. It was like Sisyphus rolling that ball up that damn hill every day just to come back down and do it all over again and never quite, quote unquote, do it right. I said to myself, why focus on a lengthy New Year's resolution, which essentially is either don't do something or do something, accomplish something by this time next year, or else. And at the end of every year, I wasn't able to accomplish what I'd wanted to, or maybe I did, but I couldn't really measure it. Thank God I stopped writing my literal body measurements down at the beginning and end of every year. Yeah, I used to do that. So instead of giving myself a lofty goal or a New Year's resolution, I said, why don't I have a word of the year that I can whisper and repeat to myself every damn day in order to find some inner peace and to feel like I'm becoming a better version of myself instead of beating myself up for not achieving a goal that was too lofty to do or working on not doing something. Because it's really hard to work on not doing something, right? One year, my word of the year was worthy because, duh, because I felt unworthy and undeserving for so long. Oh, bless my heart. But for reals. And would you know, towards the end of that year, when I was in search of a signature red lipstick because I am my mother's daughter, the name of the perfect color I found was Worthy. It's CoverGirl. I support CoverGirl for their lipsticks now that they've become cruelty free. And one year my word was ease because I realized I was really overcomplicating everything. So when I focused on that word ease, I stopped doing time consuming shit like spending precious minutes on that TJ Maxx survey to win $500 on the receipt in hopes to win. And like, y'all, newsflash, that's never going to happen. None of us will ever win. They're just taking our information. None of us will ever win. So instead of focusing on, I am not going to enter into time consuming giveaways, my word instead, ease, drove me every single time I'd Maxinista it up and then reach for my phone and the receipt right after to try to win some damn giveaway. That little time you spend on things like that really adds up, not just as time, but as sanity. Ah, sanity. Speaking of sanity, that is the definition of segues, y'all. My word of the year this year, the year of 2024, is acceptance. And they say, and by they, I mean the self-help friends, like perhaps it was Dr. Wayne Dyer or Louise Hay or Gabby Bernstein or all of them. They say, that which you resist persists. And I resist a lot. I resist a lot. So much so that I realize it's making me nuts. It's literally making me nuts because I thought that's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to stick it to the man. You're supposed to challenge everything. If your acting career isn't panning out, God forbid you take a moment to rest. No, you have to resist it. You have to just fix it. You better get new headshots. You better update your website. You better write a web series and enroll in an acting class and fix it. That's just one example. And being in this industry, the entertainment industry, isn't an easy one because we're taught that taking a break, that letting go, is lazy. And lazy won't bring you anything good. Isn't laziness the devil? Won't things just fall to shit if I get lazy and stop resisting and stop trying to fix everything? Maybe, maybe not. Most likely not. Because at the end of the day, I'm not that important. I'm not that important. Sometimes we just have to let certain things not just go, but just be. They say let it go and let it flow. Okay, if you can't let it go, if I can't let it go, oftentimes I say you, and by you I mean I. If letting it go feels too hard, why can't we just let it be? Because that's really hard. They say our parents are our greatest teachers, and oftentimes it's the things that they teach us, like really teach us. Like my mom and dad, they both, even though they got divorced and they had a lot of arguments, they still do, over some things, they really had a similar foundation. They taught me to stick up for myself. They taught me to not let people walk all over me. They instilled in me a good work ethic. And they told me if I promise I'm going to do something, especially for someone else, I better do it. Those are all lessons that have really stuck with me. But certain things that my mom and my dad do drive me up the wall. And I've been resisting it, if you will. Health stuff that my parents are going through, it doesn't drive me up the wall. It makes me sad, but it's almost like I'm trying to resist it and to fight it and to battle through it, to find cures, to give them natural remedies, to give them advice. It's just making it harder on me. It's just driving me crazy. The hardest thing is knowing that at the end of the day, I can't fix them or make them live longer or change their habits, nor do I have the resources I had hoped and prayed that I'd have when they started the aging process. God, what a term. My resistance and stress around all of this has manifested in the past year or so in a physical sense as jaw grinding and vertigo. And you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not a doctor. I'm not God. I'm not the Western medical system. I'm not the life system itself. That list was in no order of importance. I should have said God last. But again, I'm not that important. None of us are that important. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, we're unique, each of us, one of us is unique and wonderful, but we're not that important. You know what I mean? I choose to really lean into acceptance this year because fighting it is taking a toll on me mentally and physically. And that's not very fat with a pH, pretty hot and tempting. Because fat with a pH means taking care of yourself mentally and physically, especially when it comes to protecting yourself from yourself. I can't give my parents what they really need, which is just love and wait for it. Also acceptance. They just need acceptance of who they are and what they're going through. I can't give them that if I'm using all my energy to resist and getting all nasty and dizzy with nubby teeth. That's what I am. I'm dizzy and nasty with nubby teeth. And a bit of a kind of a speech impediment right now because of my retainer and faux tooth. And that's why I've tried to put these New Year's words into place. Because I want to feel better. I want to be better, right? So for example, last year, like rewind to one whole year ago for the year of 2023, I looked up my word, embrace. I wrote this word, like I decided on this word while I was battling COVID. Yeah, I had COVID for Christmas. Oh, bless my heart. My dad, though, was in the ICU 1,300 miles away in Louisiana due to an emergency infection in a fall. embrace. I also wrote, this year, my word is embrace, because instead of pushing things away and wanting something to be in a different way, I will breathe in, accept, and embrace the way things are. Fighting it creates anxiety and overwhelm, and I choose to not go down that path anymore. That's what I wrote a year ago. A year ago. And isn't it funny how the word of 2023 and its intent was awfully similar to my word of 2024? Acceptance. In fact, I didn't even know what I'd written for 2023. I forgot my word. When I chose my word of 2024, I wanted to go back and look at, oh, well, what did I write for 2023? I forgot my word of 2023. Oh, no. It's because I picked too hard of a word. There's a big difference between acceptance and embrace. Embrace didn't feel natural. It felt too woo-woo for even hippy-dippy wannabe me, and also too aggressive at the same time. You know what I mean? It felt too fake. I didn't want to embrace that I had COVID for the third time in 1 year. Yeah, y'all. And that I could barely hear. I didn't want to embrace that my mom, who has been hospitalized in the ICU and on a breathing treatment for asthma twice, now had COVID for the first time. And I was terrified of what was going to happen to her. She's fine, thank God. She survived her first and only COVID. Thank you, Jesus, Mr. Jesus. I didn't want to embrace the fact that my dad may or may not make it out of the hospital alive. I'm not being dramatic here. It was literally life or death. Or even worse, coherent or himself. Because my dad, a talkative man, a lawyer for almost 50 years, he wouldn't want to be, I'm going to be blunt when I say this, a vegetable. Sorry to use that word. I don't like that term. He wouldn't want to be comatose. But spoiler alert, my dad did make it through. I'm actually recording this on his birthday, December 27th. I'm recording this just a few days before this episode will launch. That's what we do. I didn't want to embrace the fact that my dog also broke her nail on Christmas Day. Annie jumped in and broke her nail on Christmas Day, and her paw was bleeding all over the place. I couldn't take her to the vet, right? Neither could my mom. We both had COVID. We put cornstarch on it, and Annie was fine. I chose the damn word embrace, almost like the exact opposite of what I really wanted to do at that time. At that time, I just wanted to scream. I wanted to shout. I wanted to stomp it all out. Sorry, I had to rhyme there. Because embrace, again, it felt too strong. It felt too fake. It felt too phony. It felt too not me. It felt like I was picking a word that I should have, which is exactly what a lot of New Year's resolutions had felt like. So when I chose the word this year, the word of the year, acceptance, and I looked back on my word of 2023, again, I forgot it because it didn't stick with me. I laughed at myself, not really because it was funny. Haha. It's not funny unless, well, that's your kind of humor. Maybe that's like British humor. I don't know. British people are funny. It was funny because I forgot my damn word of the year because, again, like a New Year's resolution, I picked something too lofty. So life hack tip for New Year's words when picking them. Pick something that you can repeat every day, every moment of every day that feels true and rings true to you. You'll like feel it in your heart. I'm pounding my chest right now like Marky Mark from Fear. That is a great but also very disturbing movie at the same time. But if you hit your solar plexus, that's soothing. And I need some of that shit right now. But it just really resonated with me. That reminded me of Marky Mark from Fear. Sometimes I narrate sounds that are happening in the booth because for friends who might watch this on YouTube or might watch like little clips or whatever, if you're hearing it, if you're only listening to it, you might hear some weird stuff. So I like to really narrate it. I haven't farted in the booth yet. And I accept that. I accept I have not yet farted in the booth. I'm picking the word acceptance, y'all, because it's kind of like one of those surrender flags. And not like I'm surrendering to the nasty, that's just the way it is, or it is what it is kind of side of life. But I'm surrendering in order to allow some help from a higher power. I'm not good about allowing help, including from the angels, Archangel Michael represent, or God, what up, G? I'm not good about allowing help, even from like higher entities that I do believe in. I've seen some dear friends go through some really hard stuff this in the past, not just this year, but the past several years. And they had to go through their own acceptance. One friend is caring for one of her parents who has received a very difficult medical diagnosis, and she's helping her parent through that. I have another friend who is dealing with loss and change in so many various forms at once. And I have another friend who's battling leukemia. I've seen the grace. I hate to use that word, right? Because it feels so like overused and like give yourself grace and fake. I can't stand it, but I mean it because I don't have a better word right now. I've seen the grace that they've had, the patience, the acceptance, the allowance that they have had. And behind closed doors, maybe, I haven't seen the meltdowns or the tears that they may have had that I know I've had. But I know these friends of mine are probably experiencing them too. We all do, and that's fine and valid. But the through line of accepting all of the things life may bring us, whether we like them or not, and figuring out how we would go through it, that's like the connection. We don't have to go through it with bells on. We don't have to. That's the kicker. That's the freaking kicker. It seems like there's so much pressure on us to go through things with bells on. We don't have to. Like, we don't have to. I don't have to. You don't have to. And maybe that's why I'm so resistant to a lot of the things that I feel like I cannot control because I feel like it's very much like go big or go home, go with bells on or do not go at all. And then I'm like, oh God, well, I can't go through this with bells on because I hate this shit that's happening right now. So I'm just going to resist it. No, just go through it. Who cares about the bells? Save the bells for like Michael's or Hobby Lobby on a little sign that's 75% off that your mama's going to buy. The Serenity Prayer asks for courage to change things we can change. Courage to change the things we can change. Oftentimes I've felt that if I can't change everything, if I just give in and let go, or my favorite, let go and let God, that I'm being complacent. Again, I felt that if I can't change everything, then I'm being complacent. That's utterly ridiculous the more like I say it. But I think the complacency lies in not doing anything to change yourself. When you can't change your circumstances, which many times you cannot, you have to change yourself or your beliefs or your behavior or your self-talk. And in my case, that's going from being a Mrs. Fix-It type to a Madame Acceptance type. And being complacent or lazy would just be like, oh, I'm not going to do any work on myself. I just expect things to get better. I can't change it. So I'm just going to be miserable and just let it go. And that's complacency, right? It's not complacency to say, I can't change it, so I'm not going to do anything. Am I making sense? I'm choosing to accept so many things on so many levels. And it's hard. It's hard. Perhaps that is the definition of a midlife crisis, my friends. But I think the real crisis is using things such as a bright blue BMW to try to get through it. That's what my dad did, at least, when he went through his midlife crisis. In fact, I called it the midlife crisis mobile. He drove it till it was like it literally couldn't be driven anymore. It had over 200,000 miles on it, and the front seat looked like Jaws had attacked it. But y'all, newsflash, a bright blue BMW or a snazzy resolution or even a fresh new word of the year that doesn't feel like you, that's not going to get any of us through, y'all. In this Western world, we are doers, inventors, creators. And at the same time, we're destroyers, yo. Our ambition has overcome our ability to be happy with what's simply just going on in the moment. That's why taking a breath to feel it. That's why I always appreciate this shift at this time of year. From the holiday hecticness and how many cookies can I bake and how many parties can I attend, how many parties wasn't I invited to, how many Christmas themed cocktails can I drink, how many family members can I see, to the actual calmness of the new year and having time to just be, just like let it be, to be with ourselves and just reflect. So acceptance is my word of the year. I don't believe in challenges or anything like that. I used to. I can't anymore. I just can't. But if you have a word of the year that you would like to share, I'm down with that. Like, let's throw it out there like some poopery. Poopery's that stuff you spray before you poo. Let's throw it around like potpourri. You could visit my Instagram, which is at Brooke Hoover. Remember, the O's are zeros. And that's where I do I have a lot of all my social media posts, and you could post in there what your word of the year is. Or on Spotify, I'll do the polls because Spotify allows you to do that. Sorry, my Apple friends, Apple, I do not believe allows you to communicate with the platform. That's all right. Or just like holler at me. Let me know what your word of the year is. If it's also acceptance, that's pretty cool. I'll keep coming back to my word of the year, which is acceptance, including maybe in episodes of the new year if they relate, and I'll be able to check in with myself, because one word that really rings true is a lot more doable than some bullshit New Year's resolution, right? Y'all, holding the rose quartz, taking a deep breath, and I'm feeling it because this marks the end of season 2. I know that's weird because we're in the new year, and because I did this because I wanted season 2 to have 28 episodes, which is my lucky number. So 28, we round it out. And Phat with a PH, people never do anything by the book. So I will be back in 2 weeks, kicking off season 3, airing every other Monday. I really value each and every one of you for listening, for bearing with me and my ups and downs and changing of the podcast schedule, all that. Again, I'm doing my best for every other Monday. Every Monday was too ambitious, so I had to let go, and I did embrace that. That is one example where I did just embrace it and say, we're doing every other Monday. I'm not being mad at myself that I can't do a podcast every Monday. Y'all, I appreciate you hanging with me and going with me on this journey of brain farts and revelations.
Thanks so much for listening, y'all. It is my hope to inspire, uplift, and entertain you with this Who's Dat Fat Girl podcast. So, if you're hungry for more, you can book me to speak or perform my solo show that inspired this podcast, Fat Girl Costumes, written by yours truly and directed by Brian Lady at your virtual or in-person event. Please visit brookehoover.com/fluffybuttproductions or email me at contactbrookhoover@gmail.com for more info. And let's follow each other on Instagram. I'm at Brooke Hoover, and the O's in my name are not the letter O, they're zeros. Not because I want to be a size 0, but because I guess I'm just so clever with my late 90s Yahoo self. And if you like this podcast, which I really hope you do, please give me a 5-star rating and write a review on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, share this with your friends, family, and other people you may know who are as fat as we are. That's Phat with a PH.